Welcome everyone. We're back for another session of Build with Ben, and this week I thought what we'd do is pick up where we left off in the last session, where we're working on a command palette to basically in Vue 3, and well, we got it to a basic functioning point, but I want to add more polish and kind of rethink some of the architecture and as we push it through, because honestly, if all goes well, I really would love to just open source this as a component that people could just bring into their own apps to make their lives easier for their users. So with that said, I don't think there's much else as far as intros go. So let's go ahead and hop on over to the live stream. And by live stream, I mean live screen. That's what I meant to say, live screen. Okay, so as a quick recap, so part one will be posted in the recording later on, but basically it's already up on YouTube. And so what we're doing basically here is we have this idea. As you can see, this is looks like a counter app. But what's unique about this, right? Because here we can go ahead and increment whatever. But if we hit Command K, we're listening for a command palette that will open up. Now, granted, it looks very much like something's blinking in. We'll fix that in a little bit. And then you see that there's a bunch of things we can do as far as like choosing like different commands. If I hit enter on it, it'll actually run said command. Or as you can see here on the right hand side, it'll even actually say, hey, what hotkey option is available. So if I hit Command Shift O right now, you'll see that it's actually incrementing. If I hide the command palette, this will also go ahead and keep incrementing. So that's what we basically get to do. But we want to polish this up and basically think about the developer experience, user experience of all of this. So with that said, let's go ahead and let's dive right in, shall we? So first thing first I wanted to do was to just, make this look a little bit more like an actual command palette, because right now it just looks like a div that's blinking in and out. So let's start with a little bit of styling, shall we? And so let's go ahead. How do I want to do this? Yeah, okay. So as far as styling goes, let's go ahead. So I'm here in my command palette. And so the first thing I'm going to want to do, honestly, is a couple of things. One, a command palette. So again, the most common example I like to use actually here is in Obsidian. So if we go ahead and hit Command P, you'll see that everything sort of darkens up. There's a bit of a modal. It's very clear that you're focusing on this thing you're about to do. So let's go ahead and build something similar to that, shall we? Let's start by, when the component comes in, there's going to be two different parts to it, right? There's the command palette itself. Then there is like the overlay part. So what we're going to do here is, let's wrap this in a div. And so we'll make this an actual call it like a section on the page. And this one, so we'll make that a little bit semantic. And then this here will be the command palette overlay. Now you might be wondering, from a CSS perspective, why not just call it overlay, right? We could do scope CSS, we can do scope CSS modules to make sure things are basically easier to follow. I find that still being descriptive with your class names with CSS is still really useful for debugging purposes. And it just, it just makes it easier to just be like, this belongs to this, rather than having to rely on programmatic things to distinguish that. And even then it's not, in my opinion, not totally reliable. So there's something really easy that's declarative, particularly for maintenance, to be able to be like, okay, well, this is the command palette overlay, right? Where we can just say background color. Let's just do an RGBA 000, and then let's just make it like that. I think that'll do the trick. So we display it now. Here we go. Okay, so that kind of worked. Maybe what's better actually is if I just go black and then opacity 0.8. That's a little bit better. Okay, now the only thing though is we want to position absolute. So let's bring this up a bit, width 100, height 100, vertical height, save. Oh, fascinating. Top 0, left 0. There we go, much better. All right, now everything's being covered. So the question here now is, now that we have this covering everything, let's see, actually, I'm gonna do the opacity a little, oh, that's too light. Let's do 7. Okay, great. Now we need the command palette itself. So let's see, command palette itself. Let's go ahead and, again, let's give the background color of white. Great. Why is there no, it's an opacity in the entire div. Oh, this is not gonna work. That's not gonna work. Yeah, okay. So that means that it needs to actually here, HLA, 100%, I believe. Oh, is that wrong? 000, and then make that 7. Oh, that did not work. Did I mess up the alpha? HSLA. I know RGBA. Anyways, I thought that would have been right, but oh well. Okay, RGBA, that works. Okay, so that comes through. This is good. Now we just need this to just not sit so far, and then position relative to the center. So then we should be able to display flex justify content center. Sort of worked. Yeah, that's not bad. Only thing though is let's just make the height, or let's do max height of 80%. Okay, there we go. Then we can give this a, oh, this is all ordered wonkily. So how do I, up, bum, bum, with background color, margin, let's give this a top of like, what am I, 10%? Actually, I don't know if I want to do a percentage. This one's probably just gonna be a straight up hard-coded value. Okay, great. So this is good. Okay, starting to look more like a command palette, right? So that's good. I'm gonna go ahead and let's start changing a couple of things. Let's go ahead and delete the H1. That's no longer a thing anymore. What other styles should we keep in mind? Well, let's see. When we're doing a command palette in Obsidian, we see that it's kind of got the input there and then the list of all the commands below it. That's fairly simple. We can do that. So first thing first, I'll start by actually let's make, I noticed this, the command palette has a border radius of like, let's say 6 pixels. Okay, that looks kind of nice. And then we're gonna go ahead and actually, okay, the spacing is bothering me the most right now. So why is there so much? Well, because it's a UL. Of course it is. So UL, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna say class command palette list. So we have the overlay. Let's go ahead and do the command palette list. And then here is where we'll go ahead and zero out, I think, the margins and the padding. There you go. That looks better. Now we just need to, let's go ahead and do the command palette input. And then the input here basically should be 100 pixels. Give it some padding, like 10 pixels. And let's bump the font size a little bit as well. So then we can go ahead and drop that on this input. Class command palette input. Save. Oh, that went too far. Oh, that's surprising. How did that happen? I must be, oh, you know what probably is the case? It probably is because of the border sizing, which technically I have not done, I think, on app.vue to make everything. Yeah, I don't think I did that. If I do all the selectors, box sizing, border box, like that. There we go. The only thing now is, okay, that kind of does it, I think. Although, again, kind of a little, again, the bump on the size is bothering me a little bit. So let's go ahead and give this padding just like 10 pixels. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Oh, not the overlay, sorry. The command palette needs a little bit of padding just to give a little, there you go, a little bit of separation. And similarly, let's give the input a margin bottom of 10 pixels separation. Okay, that looks much cleaner. And now if we give the input a placeholder, then we can call it like select a command. Okay, there we go. Now we can filter increments. We can do command, do bento. Great. Okay, this is enough basic styling, I think. So now if I go ahead, there you go. There's some styling stuff as far as like collapsing the height, but honestly, again, for like this is much closer to what we're looking for. So I think let's go ahead and commit that, and then we can move on to some other things. So let's go ahead, commit feature, add basic styling to command palette. Excellent. All right. Okay, so we got that. This is good. So now the question, so we can blink here, we can increment count. We know what the thing is. Now the next question here is, so the way we're currently doing this, let's review that real quick. So currently there's a list, there's a command list that is being updated. Let's see, where is that being updated? That is being handled inside of, oh my gosh, yeah, okay. So we have this manual list of commands, which is really not great. Yep, and so we need to find a way to basically be able to have components registered to the command palette. Because otherwise, I think what we're doing right now is counter is, so we're basically writing all the JavaScript in a separate file for counter, and then having that get imported in commands and in the counter. And I'm not sure I love this architecture. That's a lot of duplication, and like, yes, it's all in one place, but again, this feature should really only live in one place. So let's try to re-architect this a little bit to what I would ideally like it to look like. So I think, again, counter is counter, right? It should live in here. That's not the problem. So if anything, so let's save that real quick. So this should, let's see, actually, let's see. So I dropped this in. Okay, now I can just drop current count and increment count like this. Save it. Okay, so now that's good. Now the difference though is that this is no longer being exported. So it's not its own module. And as a result, this function is gonna break. So right now, if we go ahead and try to open up our command counter and hit increment count, and then hide out, nothing. Oh wait, did it work? 1, 2, 3. Nope, nothing worked. Okay, great. That's expected. We don't expect it to work. What we do want to do is register the command though. So, okay, let's think about how we'd like this API to work. So counter here is doing a bunch of stuff. Then, assuming we want this component to register, we'd want this like, let's say like call it import register from, what am I doing? Okay, yeah, feature/commands.js. That's basically what we want to do. And then what we want to do is basically run register, and the register would take probably some options, right, that we can configure. So we would say something like the name. So this will be like increment count. And then we could say like the action that will be taken or the function that will be run. Maybe just easier just call it the function that will be run, because then we can pass increment count directly. All right, theoretically, that's what we want it to do. And so if we see if this even works to begin with, then inside of commands, there should actually be so that's eventually gonna get refactored out. So we want a register function that basically takes a command option object. So maybe like, okay, it'll take a config object, and then from there, the config object will register to the command list. So it's almost be like command list dot value dot push, and let's just go ahead and see if this even, actually, let's just see if this works to begin with. Log config. Okay. So if this works as expected, we should see, I think we see something. There we go. Also, why is the command palette appearing by default? I think it's because I'm running it default false. Let's not worry about that right now. Okay, so there's increment count and the function which is being passed, increment count. Great. That's good so far. Now, the next question here is inside of commands. Now that we have this config, if we went ahead and went command list dot value dot push, right, we're pushing this. Let's say the ID now is 01035, for example. Then I called it title. That's fine. Config.name, and then let's just do command is going to be the config.function. Oh, that's not going to work. Let's see. Octoliterals are not allowed in. Oh, is it? Nope. Let's see. If you're registering it, and then let's see. What does this mean? Commands.js, it does not like this. I don't think I understand what this means. Octoliterals allowed in strict mode. Time to Google. Something looks funny. Is it because the config.function can't be run? Okay, what if... I'm really confused. What does that even mean? All right, what if I just run the function then, like this? So... Oh. All right, Spyro the fishy? It doesn't like your ID being 035. Thank you for the catch. That would explain it. Huh. I guess that makes sense because it doesn't recognize that as a straight number. It like tries to parse that. Huh. Fascinating. Okay. Oh snap. I think that worked. If I refresh, yup. Hey, Nunchi in the chat. What up, what up, what up? 1, 2, 3. It's working. Hey, okay. That's a lot easier than I thought it would be. Okay, that's good. That's good. It should be that easy because once again, like the counter here is responsible for the logic. I really think it's a rather odd to have to like, I think architecturally speaking, a little bit odd to split that up multiple times. Because now if we save it like this, whoop, something did not like that. Made an argument list. What did I mess up? I deleted something I wasn't supposed to. Yeah, that's right. I deleted the wrong thing. There you go. Now we save. Now refresh. Now we're good. Okay, so now, great. So we have increment count, 1, 2, 3, close, 1, 2, 3. Great, it incremented. So our register command works that again a lot quicker than I thought it would. But this is a couple. Okay, so now we have this. So a couple of things. We're able to register the command name from the component itself, which makes sense, right? When you're inside of, okay, so now what I need to do, let me slow down, is we need to actually make sure this, oh wait, I deleted the wrong thing. Delete counter. Let's finish the work I started before I go breaking other things. Okay, so now everything works from what we see. We have this really nice API where we're basically saying, hey, like we're gonna go ahead and like define this, and then we'll just register it. We'll register the command. So, and actually, maybe it actually makes more sense to be more explicit. I'll just call it register for now, though. I think that should be fine. Okay, register command. There we go. Everything's managed. It's much cleaner. So now what we can do, let's go ahead and commit this. Commit, refactor, create new API for registering commands. Excellent. Okay, so to test that this works, what we're gonna do now is let's create another component. What's a common example we use all the time? Fine, let's just do your to-do view component. We'll make this super quick. Basically, we'll say, again, so let's see, h2, let's call it to do, ul li v4 task in. Oh, this is actually probably going to be a good one, actually. There we go. Import, actually, cons task list equals ref. I did not import ref automatically. That's fine. And then the ref here, once again, we're just going to keep it simple for now. And then we're going to render out the task. And then I know we always want a key, so let's just do a quick static one, which is going to be task, the task itself. There we go. Now we can go ahead and import to do here. And then it did not like that for some reason. Command to do. Oh, yeah, there we go. Something crashed. That's fine. Okay, to do item, great. Now what we want to do is be able to register something, right? So if we're in the to do thing, and let's have a add item. We'll keep it really simple right now. It's a function that will just say task list dot value dot push, and this time we'll push the number 4 to it. Then we will register the command. So let's go ahead and import that. Import register from features commands, and then we'll register this, and it'll be an yes, that's fine. So this will be the name of it will be add item to do list, and then the function being passed will be add item, just like that. So if all goes well, add item to do list, hit enter. Hey, that worked exactly how we wanted. Yes. Excellent. I'm actually pretty happy with it. Now, again, there are probably ways we can update this, but this seems really clean from like, I mean, you can imagine, right? If you import like a white label command palette that comes into your app, that you're gonna have everything organized in your components as you would expect, and then you'll register whatever you want to it. So this is pretty big. So we've tested this out. So let's again, this is a feature. Add second use case scenario for testing purposes. All right, great. I see Earl George in the chat. Hello. It's going pretty well. We're making a lot of progress. I thought some of this stuff would take a little longer, and we're blazing on through. So this is great. We're gonna keep pushing the boundaries on this because I know I need command palettes for the stuff that I tend to build, and I want to make my apps more keyboard accessible. So if I can have like a fully built command palette component that I can import and then just register stuff, and then there's like a whole UI that you get for free, because again, I think there's a standard UX pattern, I think this will be huge. Okay, so we have a couple things now. We've gotten to the point where we can register commands to it. So actually, now that I think about it, I think the next thing I want to do realistically, though, before we get into like other features, is let's do a little bit of cleanup. So for example, it really doesn't make sense for me to manage all of these commands inside of like basically like a simple ref object. Let's utilize some of the tools at our disposal. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually use Pinia for we're going to use Pinia. So for state management, that's what we're going to do. So let's do some Pinia work. Great. And then now we have the Pinia. We need to go inside of main.ts, and then we can import create Pinia. Great. And then we'll mount the app. But before we mount the app, we'll use Pinia. App.use create Pinia. Okay. So for those who don't know, in fact, I mean, honestly, I probably do need to do like a quick intro video over Pinia at some point. But basically at a high level, Pinia is a new Vuex. It's a new recommended global state management for Vue 3 going forward, because we've done a lot of things to improve the developer experience. A big shout out to Eduardo, who built for that. So actually, in fact, if you're looking to join us, there's going to be a live Q&A being hosted on Vue Mastery for a Pinia thing. So if you're a Pinia fan, have questions, be sure to check out, I guess by the time the recording for this comes out, that should be up for people to see on YouTube. But for those here that are live in the stream, if you want to join us, I believe it's on Wednesday. So be sure to come check it out if you are interested. Okay, so we have Pinia. Now we're going to go ahead and create. Yeah, we're just going to use Pinia. So how does Pinia work for those who are new? Basically, here's our stores. And Pinia, what I really like about Pinia is that it really focuses on modularity from the beginning and keeping things really clean. So basically, from now, we're basically going to call this the command store. That's all it is. So we're going to import create define store from Pinia. And then we're going to go ahead and just say export const use command store. And then this will be a function that takes the name of the store and then basically your options for what you expect the store to have. So inside of our state, for example, I'm going to go ahead and use a function that returns an object, which is common for reactive data, particularly in Vue. And then from here, then we can just say the command store, honestly, let's just command list. That's basically it. And then the command list is just an array. That's all we need to know. So So now that we have this, how do we use it? Pretty easy, actually. So all we got to do is we're going to take all of this. And then the register, what it'll do is we're going to go ahead and import. Oh, this is going to be the tricky part. Because we're in a composable, this is going to be a little tricky. We'll find out. Let's see how this works. So again, we're going to just do this real quick. We're going to import, let's see, I think it'll find it. Use Command store. Oh, I can't find it. Okay, that's fine. From store slash command store. I think that's what I called it. Use command store. Yeah, that's what I called it. Why doesn't it like it? Oh, declare but never read. Sure. So let's log log config log use command store. So if this works as expected, nope. Let's see. No, provided export list called command list. Oh, of course. Wait, nope. I'm a little lost. Search features command. Yes. Command.js did not provide an export list named command list. Oh, that makes sense. Yes. Because in the command palette, we're looking for a command list from here. That's that. And then actually, let me comment that out. Where is command list right now? Yes, that's why. Okay, so really quick, just to put a placeholder here, command list is a ref. That's an empty reference. Still doesn't like it. It's blaming, app.vue. Oh, fascinating. Why is the command list being, oh, got it. Oh gosh, even more, okay. See, this is how, yeah, this is bleeding everywhere. This is not good. Okay, here we go, save. Now we're good? Okay, now we're good. Okay, excellent. Use store Pinia, increment count. Great. Okay, so if, let's see, const, so how we call the store, assuming this worked, this might not work for a very specific reason. Because I don't think, I think it did work. Because by the time we're calling register, okay, great. I'm thinking of a scenario where I ran into problems, but this might be very, very good. Okay, so basically we're calling the command store directly from this module, right? Because for Vuex you used to have like this global store, and then you had to like define modules, you have to go and drill inside. No, that's not what you do anymore. So what we do instead is we have the command store. Oh wait. And then I can actually uncomment this part. And then we can just basically say that the command store, and we can access the value directly. So this is the state, and then the state we're gonna modify it by pushing it. I think this should work. And then if we look, nope, nothing's in there. Oh, yes, of course. Because we need to actually register it. So this is, okay, so the register command is working correctly, it appears. So the way to check if it is, we'll go inside the Vue DevTools. Let's go ahead and check out our Pinia DevTools command store. Hey, we see command store has, wait, how many things? Increment count, add item. Why is it being registered twice? Oh, there we go. Now we're good. Let's say it was a glitch. Okay, so that actually looks like it's working. That's actually pretty clean, right? Because you have a register command that gets access to the store, which you can do declaratively. And the reason you're calling the func basically like use command store is because you're basically telling Pinia to go fetch the store and bring it into the function. And that's why it's a function and not like just like something you can refer directly as like a const. Because you want to basically fetch like the reactive instance of the store. So now that we have it like this, what we can do now is we can come in here and fix some of this. So rather than importing it, like basically the commands directly, we're going to import the store, and then here, then we can basically go const command store equals use command store. And once we have the command store, then we can go ahead and basically update the global store directly and don't even need the value. That should work. Oh wait, we don't need to go backwards. 1. Okay, that's better now. And then the other thing we're gonna have to do is inside of our command palette, similarly replace this. We'll set up the command store to be used. Actually, let's do the props on top, and then we can do the command store. And now that we have that, now we can strip this out, and then we can basically do, okay, this is filtered. Okay, that's fine. Actually, command store dot command list. This is good. Save. Just running through. Yep, I think we're good. Okay, now we have this. We can increment count. We can go ahead and add items to the to-do list. And if that looks, there you go, 444, 3, everything's working. This is good. And everything is being kept right now. All the commands are being kept inside of Pinia. So this is good. So it's a lot cleaner as far as management. We have like a state management system that's managing how the stuff is being stored. Now, granted, at some point, we probably want this to be like a JSON file that's being saved locally so people can import their preferred settings and stuff, but one step at a time. So this is good. I think this is a good re-architecture now. So we can go ahead and refactor all this. So actually, this is a feature as far as I'm concerned. Use Pinia for global state management. Okay, great. Next feature. Now, when it comes to the command palette, we now have the ability to, clearly register functions. That's good. Users can go ahead, Command K, bring up said command palette. But we have a slight problem in that we don't have the ability to basically, well, we need the ability to actually register the hotkeys now because we have that functionality, but it's clearly not being registered here. And so how are we going to do that? Well, let's come up with like a simple MVP solution, shall we? First thing first, what I'm noticing though, which I'm doing instinctively, but it's not working, is when I'm hitting escape, it's not actually hiding the command palette. So if we go back to app.view, let's go ahead and see. So whenever this is, go ahead and hit this. So I'm gonna do this whenever, oh, by the way, in case you're missed the first part of the stream, this whenever keyword, along with some of the key watching you're seeing, this comes from Vue use, using the magic keys. It basically allows you to do a lot easier keyboard detection, which is very important for something like a command palette, which is very keyboard heavy. So let's see, keyboard.escape, whenever this button is hit, basically I'm gonna say if display command palette is true, then display command palette, the value should be equal to false. That's the only time I really need that to kick off right now. So if I refresh this, hide that, and then hit, oh, it didn't work. Why didn't it work? Let me log. Hello. Wait, I cannot read property of undefined length. Did I mess up? Is it not called ESC? Is it actually called like, I would think that that would be the shortcut. Refresh. Okay. Here. My escape key it's not doing anything. All right, let's take a look at the view. Use magic keys docs real quick. Use magic keys. What are we doing? Yep, pressing. Where is the escape key? Magical shift control. Yes, I'm aware. Do we have any aliases? Cool, escape. Docs, Control S. I would assume ESC would have been escape. Const use magic keys dot e dot control key e dot key. Nope. Tab use magic keys. Bum bum. Hey, I see Stygian Lightning in the chat. How's it going? I'm trying to figure out why the escape key is not triggering for me right now. Because everything else is, right? Command K is doing its thing. But escape, in particular, is not doing its thing. Yeah, doing well. Just always fun to be live streaming, getting to do some coding, building projects that would hopefully help others. So yeah, it's been good so far. We've gotten some pretty good progress. So I'm getting, so that's that. F. Yeah, this is escape. Oh, key press escape. All right, I'm just gonna, what if it's this? What if that's the problem? Oh, there we go. Huh. I wonder if I should file a pull request for that. It just seems like ESC would be a very, like, you already have command like this. You think that ESC would be a thing. But hey, that's all I need. So it's closed. So here we go. That works great. Whoop. So, Stygian Lightning, what are we doing? We're basically we're building a command palette. So the functionality that we often see that, if you've seen any of my Obsidian stuff, I use this all the time, right? Command P, basically select your command. How do you do this? How do you register commands? Personally, I think this is a step towards like the future of UI. I think the concept of hiding commands inside of menus that are embedded like 2-3 layers deep that have a very fixed hierarchy is, in my opinion, a thing of the past. Because the problem with that is it basically says, oh, please memorize how I've designed this UI, which again, I think there's usefulness in creating that flow because once again, there's like when it comes to progressive enhancements of apps, it is important to like leverage what people are familiar with. So some people, command palette is going to be very foreign to them. But the reason why I think this is the way of the future is because eventually you don't want to have to memorize those things. You just want to look up the things. And then more importantly, once you look up the things, you probably want to customize the things because your brain is going to work a certain way and it's not going to be like, there are so many commands I've seen in especially more specialized software where your brain's not going to call it that thing, whatever like the group decided to call it. Because again, there's industry specific terminology and then there's what works for you. And so different companies, as they establish different standards, will be like, oh, I'm going to call it like this. We're going to call this command ripple delete. And then this other command is going to be, and then someone else is like, no, this is called like space removal. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, it's the same thing in my head, but maybe for me, ripple delete makes the most sense. So I want to alias ripple delete in another app that I'm using. And I think that really, command palettes allow, again, a well-designed command palette will allow users that balance of here's what we call it, and you can learn how to use it. Or you can define an alias for yourself and hotkeys that make sense to you because good lordy, the number of times where I've used an app where I was like, I would love a hotkey that I could just like hit and then it would do the thing. And then I have to like figure out how to go inside the Mac keyboard to like configure that. Like to me, that should be at the app level. Right? I should be able to define my hotkeys. You should have a listener for it. I mean, especially at the level of the apps we have now. So, Rohit, let's see, a lovely t-shirt. Thank you. Yes, it's very comfortable, by the way, in case you haven't gotten one. The Netlify t-shirt is very comfortable. Yes, okay. Yep, so that's my little mini rant on command palettes. But more importantly, I really do think once people get, and also, my one last thing I'll add to it, it's nice to not have to worry like to use a mouse to like point to whatever you do. A lot of times you have, especially as you get faster with your apps, you become a power user. You just want to move, and keyboard, like keeping your hands on the keyboard, is the quickest way. Like other than having something read your mind, I don't think we can get much faster than that. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at where we are now. So, okay, great. I added a functionality to basically actually escape from the command palette feature. User can close command palette with escape key. Great. Now, we have a problem. The problem is we need to be able to configure hotkeys, right? Because for all my ranting and stuff, we now need to be able to actually say, okay, how do we let the user personalize things? I think for now, the easiest thing, let's just go ahead and make this like a full-fledged, let's go ahead and grab Vue Router so we have a different page for all this stuff, because let's assume basically that we're gonna need the ability to, oh, that's not what I want. We need the ability, oh, that's kind of annoying. There we go. Okay, so getting started. Okay, so that's not what I wanted. I always look at the docs, installation, that's what I want. Okay. So install Vue Router 4. Boom. Okay, getting started. So now we're gonna have the ability to do a route. So this is actually inside of the source. Let's create a routes.js file and then So we have the template, we have routes. Yep, okay. So const routes equals this, yes, okay. Here's gonna be our routes. Path, this makes sense. Home, yes, okay. Let's actually not define this just yet. Actually, then we export const router, which is gonna be Vue router.create. I would prefer to just call create router. Yes, imported correctly, fantastic. History, yes, let's do the create web hash history. And then the other thing we're gonna wanna do, and then just import the routes like this. So if this works as we expect, a couple of things need to happen. We need to actually go inside of main. We need to import router from routes.js. And then I think we just, I usually like to put the routes in front of the store. Use router like this. I think that'll do the trick. It did not like that. Could not find a declaration file for module routes. I'm in main. Main is importing import router. Why does it not like that? Export const router. That makes sense. Create router. Yes. I'm missing something. Can I find a declaration for the module routes? Source routes has implicity in any type. Oh, because I'm in the TS file. Yes. I'm aware. Okay, I think it's gonna yell at me, but it should still be fine. So we're gonna do a couple of things here. We're gonna go ahead and let's do router view. Basically, that'll display. And then we have all of our views, basically all the different pages we have inside. So I'm going to call this pages, and then we'll have home.view. Let's just make sure this works. H1, home page, whoops. Okay, So now if we go to routes here, now we should be able to import home from component slash home.view, then the routes here, path here, then the component here is home. Okay, did not like that because why? Does the file exist? Oh, of course it doesn't exist because I'm in pages. Okay, homepage, great. Homepage worked. So what we can do now is I'm gonna move counter and to do over to homepage. This is how we're gonna verify this works. Then we'll go ahead, counter and to do, darn here. It's not gonna like that because it doesn't exist yet. Yep, and then we need to actually correct the import. Okay, now we should be good. Now we should add, that worked, great. All right, now we have pages, we have routes, we have very basic setup here. Great. So let's go ahead and update that. Git commit feature router, basic home page. Great. Okay. So now that we have this, we need the ability to basically only look at all the commands, right? So, I mean, let's go ahead and actually let's just create a quick navbar component. Navbar.view, and then let's see, we have nav item. And then we will basically have just at the very top a list of some basic items. So just to verify this works, we'll have home, and then we'll have commands, right? That's all we'll have. So if this works as expected, and we put it on app.view, now we can import the navbar from component slash navbar. I should have just copied the last line and replaced, but that's okay. And then here we have the logo. That's fine. Let's just drop navbar here. Oh, did not. There we go. Now we're good. Let's do some basic styling real quick. So class navbar and then class navbar list. And then all we got to do is do navbar list display flex. And then, okay, clearly I need to bar list all the LIs, list style none. Great. And then padding, let's just fine. And then we can justify content, center, great. And then we'll just go ahead and just give this quick padding, 10 pixels. That will kind of do it. It is looking kind of funny though. Why is this so high? Oh my gosh, what is this? Oh, the app. The app has a huge margin top. Delete that. Okay, now this looks a little bit cleaner. It does look slightly off center though. Why is it off center? Oh, that's why. The reason for that is because the list also contains its own settings. There we go, now we're dead center. So the basic here thing now is we're gonna have a command page. So we'll just, again, let's verify this by just saying commands. Okay, that's all we're gonna do. Now we just need to register this inside of our routes. Let's copy this real quick. Okay, and then this commands, actually let's rename this real quick. This is rename, and then we can copy this line, replace this here, replace that here, save. Then we'll check the navbar item real quick, and then let's go ahead and split these two lines here, and then we'll do a router link to, and then we'll just do that real quick. And then we just need to close it off. So let's split this off as well. Router link like this. Should, oh, I broke some, oh yeah, I did not close this. Oh, that was a mistake. Autocomplete fail. Save. What is it not like? Oh, it doubled up again? Why did it double up that autocomplete? That's weird. Save. Much better. And then we have commands like this. So if we switch, there we go. We have our command page, we have our home page. Great. So let's go ahead and take status, get a feature navbar with ability to toggle to command page. Great. So our next piece here, we have the commands. This is good. Now we want to list all of the commands. All right, this is where this is going to get a little tricky now. So it's similar to in regards to the command palette, but what we're having to do now is we're going to need the ability to kind of like see and define different things. So if I'm thinking about this, okay, so it probably makes most sense to kind of appear like a table where you kind of see all the different commands, and then you can filter down the set commands, and then you can modify the item in the command to update things. Okay, so my brain wants to run off in 10 different directions right now. Let's do one thing at a time. First thing we're gonna do is list out the command. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna import, basically use command store again. And this is in stores command store. We're gonna set up the command store. And then for now, let's just go ahead and again, let's just keep it simple. So because this is more than it is a list technically. I'm not gonna even fight it. It's just not gonna. It's gonna look a little bit more like a table, but it's really just a list. It could be a table, it could be a row. Okay. Again, we can argue about semantics in a little bit. So command in command store dot command list, and then the key should be. The problem is this is not a unique ID right now. So let's just, what I can do for now is I'll just add the index here, and then we'll just say, this will be a string where we say command.id dash index. That way we can be sure it's unique. Then from here, this is actually gonna cause problems when it comes to animation, but we're not animating right now, so we're not gonna worry too much about it. Let's just render it. Okay, so if I refresh, we're home, it registers the command, okay. Okay, that's gonna be a little bit tricky. We sort of encountered a little bit of a bug. All right, Stygian, thanks. No worries. Thanks for coming and hang out. See you around in Discord. We have a little bit of a problem because, okay, the problem is if you notice is that if we just go to the command page directly, there are no commands. And the reason for this is because the components haven't loaded, and this makes sense. You don't, from a performance perspective, you're not supposed to load commands that the user doesn't need just yet. But when you're working in an app scenario though, this is tricky. Well, yeah, it's tricky because you're basically expected to provide everything up front as far as what the user wants to do. So maybe part of, okay, there clearly needs to be, you know what am I thinking? We need to make a note because there's a question here of like how to manage components or registering commands of components that haven't loaded. So, I mean, there is this sense of like, if I'm thinking it through, the problem ends up boiling down to the fact that like right now, at least far as a traditional web app goes, you're only loading the things you need when the time comes. But if we're building like a fully fledged featured app, like VS Code, for example, oftentimes you're not going to have everything up front, and you should be provided certain commands just within the context so you can switch it. And so I think what it ultimately boils down to is there's going to be a balance between there's definitely going to be a balance between figuring out what's going to be managed at a global state. Because, for example, if something like count in the to-do list needs to exist at a global level, then it probably is one of those things where like, kind of like what I did earlier, where like it might have to be front loaded because this state, like, you don't necessarily want to load all the code for like the counter's rendering. So in other words, if the user's not displaying the counter, so you don't need all that HTML, you don't need all that CSS. But what we do need is probably the ability to split off the functionality so that it's loaded at the very beginning. Because let's say you want the user to, I mean, actually, this is a real example. If we're not on the, you know what, let's keep splitting this out because I think this will better illustrate the problem. So let me just create a to-do page real quick. This will be H1. Why is it not auto-completing this? That's happened to me twice now. The H1 here, we're gonna go to the home page. We're gonna take this line out. We're gonna take this line out. We're gonna save. Come in here, and then we're gonna paste that line. And then we're gonna paste this line. Save. Okay, great. So the home page only has a counter now. But now our routes, we're gonna add basically a to-do page because I'll explain why in just a moment. Here we go. This here is to do. This component is to do. Now when we're in the nav bar, we can basically, this will be to do, this will be to do. Although now that I think about it, command is more of a configuration. So just for argument's sake, let's review that, refresh. Okay, now we have the to-do list. So in this case, right, because we've added, oh, does it register every single time? Oh, it averaged, okay, that's a bug. Hold up, come on in Obsidian, resources, bug, registers a command every time the component is loaded. Basically, the basic solution here is to basically check if command has been registered. But I don't love this. This is like an MVP hack because really, once it's been read, maybe it's okay. I wonder if there's like a better way to optimize it, but that's okay. We have that note now. Okay, so yeah, that's okay. So the problem here, by the way, is that if we're on home, at this point, if we look at the commands, there is no way for us to actually like add an item to the list. And the reason why might be a common, the reason why I say this is a common example is if you're creating some sort of like to-do list and you're tracking someone's tasks, I mean, this is honestly just any generic form, a user might want to just add that item from the command palette. And so there is certainly a question now of how do we provide like a good way for users to step through a form? Because, for example, let's use Obsidian as an example. If I want to create a new note from a template, there is a way to do that. I open the command palette, I say new note, and you see that there's a bunch of different things, new note from template. If I hit new note from template, it'll bring me to an additional form with an additional set of commands that then I can choose from. And so basically we have this ability to step through a sort of form. And so what that tells me then is that we need to make a note in regards to, so this is a problem. That's a bug. This is a problem. How do we allow users to register a series of actions? So i.e. step-by-step form input. Because there's something really valuable, right, about saying like, oh, I want to create a task, I want to input it. So it's almost like, I think there's probably some sort of nesting concept going on here where the command can call another command. So in the event of like, yeah, there's probably, actually, I'm just going to write this down because as I'm brainstorming this, potential solution, commands can be registered to call additional commands with new subcommands. Because like that's what you're doing, right? You're basically saying, hey, this command for create task will inside of the inside of the command palette, so problem, command palette should track a navigation of panes order, like the order in which people are navigating to. So if they press escape, they go backwards. So for example, in Obsidian, just like we had before, if I went to new note from template, I want to be able to go back. Oh, that doesn't actually even go back. I would argue there should be a way to go back if you're like, oops, that's not what I meant. If I do new note from template and then I hit Command P again, nothing happens. Yeah, so for me, I would expect some sort of way to go backwards in case I messed up. Rather than having to, especially because if this gets a little bit complicated, especially if people are starting to think more complex steps, in this step, you're only going one step forward and then you're exiting out completely. But if this got any more complicated, users would lose a lot of work in between. That would be kind of frustrating. So in other words, it's a solution. User can use left, right arrow keys to move between navigation panes for commands. Okay. Yeah. Okay, that said, okay, so what do we do? We figured this out. We need to create commands. We need to register. Okay, so we have a couple problems that we need to deal with at a global level. Okay, so what do I want to do? Oh, right. What we said we wanted to be able to do was actually be able to configure said command, because right now all we're doing is we're just rendering. This is not terribly interesting. So what we want to be able to do is modify. Let's start with just adding aliases, right? Maybe that's like a good place to start. So in this case, let's go ahead and switch back over to VS Code now. Okay, let me close all these tabs. We have too many tabs open. This is getting cluttered. So inside of the commands.view page, we have a list. This is fine. And what we want to be able to do is basically allow users to define aliases underneath these commands. So the way I see this happening is we have the command.title like this. And then let's go ahead and, how would I imagine this? I imagine that there will be two columns, basically, one for the hotkeys, one for not. So I think, can I do, let's see, command.hotkeys? Is that what I called it? What did I call it? Oh, I didn't register those things yet. That's fine. That makes sense because that's not being registered. Okay. Let's ignore that for now. So let's do one thing real quick. So here, let's call this, actually, I'm just gonna inline the style real quick because I don't actually know what I want it to look like. So let's just go left real quick. There we go, okay. Underneath, there should be the ability then to add, like, say, a button. So here, let's just do a div, and let's do a button, add alias. Great. So once again, let's not even worry about like the clean UX just yet. This will just be a text for the alias. So if they add set alias to this, then what we should end up getting theoretically then is like alias number 1, alias number 2, right? That's what we should see. These are alternative things that users can define to also call said command. So let's start by seeing if we can do that to begin with. So first thing first is we look inside the command store. We'll see that it's just an array, and this is where eventually some sort of typing system would probably be useful. But in the meantime, we're gonna focus on a couple other things. Okay, so I wanna let's fix a couple of things. First thing first, let's get the UUID NPM package so that we can actually generate a unique ID every single time. So here we go. Let's just do this real quick. npm I UUID. Great. Then import v4 as UUID v4. I just want to. Oh, sure. Fine. From UUID. Great. And then here you'll say UUID v4 and then run it. UUID 4. Save. Okay, so if this works as expected, we should see now that inside of our commands, once we register them, we should be able to see that the command ID, let's just go ahead and pin this to the left of it, command.id. Oof. Oh, I didn't call it. Of course. Let's run this again. Run. There we go. Now we have our unique hash, or not hash. We have unique like basically key. So that's good. All right, great. So we fixed that part. Let's go ahead and not worry about that anymore. I'm going to delete the index part because basically, as a quick aside, because we're not going to get around to it in this case, is that when you have your unique hash and your ID, and then you're doing animation tracking, it completely botches your animation ordering, because if you can think about it this way, Vue is tracking what item is attached to what ID. And then from there is deciding how to best animate it, how to move it in a performant way so it doesn't re-render it. But if you have the index on it being changed, in other words, if you're like resorting a list and it's being, and the index is part of that ID, you're basically resetting the rendering every time. So what you're gonna end up seeing, in case you're ever animating that kind of stuff, is that it'll start glitching up and down, because as far as Vue is concerned, you have a new element being moved around. But if you, and this is all the more reason why a unique hash is important, because with that stays consistent, and then the UI can move accordingly. It won't break anything. Dude, man, in the chat, I wish my npm packages downloaded that fast. That was pretty quick, wasn't it? Yeah, it's been nice. Okay, so let's just figure this out. Okay, so we did this. We have UUID. Oh yeah, I thought I committed this. That's fine. Is there anything else I needed to do? Use commands. Oh, I created a command page. All right, that's fine. Hold on. Git commit feature UUID for commands. Let's commit the rest of this stuff. Git commit feature add commands page. Whoops. There we go. Okay. We have the title, we have the function. What we need is actually a series of aliases. That's what we need. And so actually I'm gonna do aliases because it's plural. Although I have a whole thing about plurals actually. Alias lists. Let me be very, very specific. Now, everything should be empty. So if we do this correctly, this is v4. So the alias list is gonna be a series of just strings, because this is things you wanna call it. I don't really think it needs to get really fancy. So alias in command.alias list is what we need. And the key is going to be basically we're going to do this string as a command, the command ID, because it's the command ID. But then you should only have one alias that's identical at any given time. So I think we can reliably say that alias itself as a string will be part of the key, and then that should be solid. So then once we do that, I realize I looped the wrong thing though, because the loop really needs to go on the li, so my bad. Copy that, paste that here. Then from here, we can basically say, yes, this is the alias. Okay, and to make sure this works, I'm gonna go back to the home, refresh, to do commands. That did not like it. I didn't save. There we go. Okay, that's good. Now, what we want to be able to do is for that specific item, we basically want to be able to push to, how are we going to do this? As we're looping through, we need to be able to track the reactive data that's coming from the input and then push it in. That's actually what we need to do. So, again, let's keep this simple. Let's import a ref from Vue, and we're gonna call this user alias input list. I'm just gonna be really super specific right now because I think I understand what I'm doing with this. It's an object, and then the object will have keys, and then it will, oh, this is tricky. Okay, hold on, let's see if this works. Let me do the pre-tag with user alias input list. So we see that here. Oh, I don't know if this is gonna work. Okay, so this here is gonna be tied to a V model where it's gonna be tied to the user input alias list, and then, but we're gonna specifically hit this command ID. So if this works, that doesn't look like it's reacting. Let's refresh. 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay, that did work. Okay, I just needed to refresh it. So then this is here, the ID. Okay, that's good. And I can come in here. Okay, so basically what we're showing is a temporary state to add alias. Now, I realize I probably won't need to do this because I don't want to show the input at all times. So it's actually going to be simpler than this. But in the meantime, we have something working. So then how do we add the alias? We're going to, when the button is clicked, we're going to go ahead and update we're going to update the item. So let's see, add alias. Yep, I think that's it, add alias. The alias then will take in, the function is going to then run a function that will take the item that we're updating. So this is the command that we're updating. And then it'll be, actually, let's just log the command real quick just to make sure I'm making sure I'm getting this correctly. So we have add alias here, and then it should just, oh wait, and then we need to pass in the command. That's what I wanted to do. Okay, so if this works as expected, we can say this is my alias, add alias. Okay, so it's a proxy, which is good. That's what I would expect. So then can I do command dot alias list? I probably need the value. I'm gonna assume that it's a ref. So value dot push. What are we pushing to the alias list? We're pushing the user input alias list dot value, then grabbing the command dot ID. Okay, if this works the way I think it does, count add, click it. Nope, that broke. Undefined reading of alias list. Did not like that. So command did not like that. So what if I did this? Add 1. Then click add. Hey, okay, that worked. So what this tells me then, okay, this is good. This is good. Because now, to make sure this works, if we're inside the command palette, what I actually do want to render is underneath. Okay, for now, one thing at a time. So we need to, yeah, this is why the command palette is complicated. Because, okay, so let me show you how Obsidian does it. So when I do an alias for a note, so here's like build with Ben. I'm also calling it BWB hashtag 31, the number symbol, because that symbol is illegal in the file name. So that's why an alias is helpful. So when I do BWB 31, you'll see that it tells me, one, that it's an alias. It makes it very clear it's an alias because of this little icon over here. And then two, it tells me where it's originating from. But what that tells me is that from a command level, it means that aliases are almost like re-registered as a new command, but then it just tells you where the originating one is. So theoretically, I think we do have time for this. What I should do is that inside of command store, there is a getter. All right. And inside of the getters, there is an ability to basically like remap the entire command list so that it not only shows the command, it also shows the alias. Okay, it's gonna be okay. I'm like my brain trying to figure out how this will work. Okay, so let's see complete. I'll just call it a complete list for now. This is like the entire thing. And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna go ahead and access the entire state. And then what we need to do here is, okay, we're gonna have this complete command list array. And then the state is gonna be state.command list for each, right? Because we're gonna loop through every single item. There's no if and buts about it. For every single command inside of it, we're going to first start by complete command list. We're gonna push a specific object that has the, oh, this is gonna be rough. Okay, hold up, I got this, it's fine. From UID, And then we can say there'll be an ID for UIDv4. Okay, this is where we'll have there's like the main title and then where it's from. So we'll call it, the title is fine, is command.title. Let's call it origin is where it's from. And for now, we're not even gonna worry about this because we're just gonna call it origin. Sorry, like primary command. Then if command.alias list.length is greater than 0, right? Then we loop through command.alias list.for each. We loop through all of these. And for every alias that's in here, oh man, this is the function that's going to be run. So command dot, oh wow, this is rough. Then we're going to have the command, okay. Oh right, I remember saying I did not like that, but that's fine. We'll figure that out later. Now the alias will go ahead and also register similarly, where we have the UIDv4, but this time the title here is going to be the alias itself, and then, oh wait, this needs to be run, and then the origin on this part, this is where we're displaying what it's related to. This is going to be related now to the command.title. That's where this is. And then, and then the function though is still command.command. Okay, something doesn't like, what did it not? Oh, of course, because for every alias, I need to actually do the push. Complete command list dot push, then push all this. Okay. Oh, I see X Facile in the comments. Do you mind setting your Obsidian options? Your setup looks really amazing. Yeah, actually, let's see. I thought I had. I had my, oh yeah, Obsidian boilerplate. Yep, actually, fastest way to do this, let's see, GitHub, search repositories, Obsidian boilerplate. Yep. So I think this should do it. If you're having trouble with it, I need to create like a monthly routine to just update it. But if you have any questions about it, let me know. But that should get you started as far as what's going on. So hope that helps. Okay. Okay, we have 10 minutes left. All right, so the question is, did I break everything? I did not break everything. This is good. So the way we're going to check to see if this works is, one, we're going to register. Great. Inside of the command store, we can see here that the complete, oh, okay, for each return complete command list. Okay, refresh. All right, empty array, 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is good. It's identical. It's increment count. Great. All right, I'm happy. Now, increment count is, we'll say add 1. Add alias. Now, what this should do is inside of Pinia, let's see. Inside of Pinia, we should see a second one. Oh, I think it's working. Add item to to-do list. Wait. No. I messed up. Oh, wait. It just might be reordered. It might just not be in the right order. Add 1 title. Ooh, okay. So if I did this right, which I think I did, this now means that inside of command palette, we should actually be using command store.complete. What do I call it? Complete list. That's it. So, oh, it shows up. It shows up, which is great, because then this means now, I do want to display though right below it. The title is here, then hotkeys is there. So what did I do with the list? Did I do the list item and did I didn't flex them? Oh, list item, there you go, space between. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Space between, and so what I want to do actually, let me just try this. So the original title is correct, but what I want to do is just for kicks, I want to show the command.origin. And then if this works, yup, that's what I wanted. The only thing though is that the command origin, let me just wrap this with the span. And then let's just do a real quick, some changes there. Although, why is primary command incrementing like, oh, is it because of the space? That shouldn't be a thing, should it? That's a little odd. Why is it that space is bugging me? It might have to do with the way the BR. All right, whatever. I can do the layouts. But, okay, this shows this is a win. Because what we see now is that we can actually add aliases to it. And then, again, if like add item to to-do list is like quick. Oh, that's funny. It triggered it. Quick, what? Wait, why is K showing up? Inside of here. That was weird. I think my command button got stuck for some reason. Quick item. Now here. Yep, quick item shows up. Hey, so we did it. So we have the ability now to configure aliases for the command so that users can say, hey, this makes more sense for my brain. I see Peter Yu here in the chat. You might be interested in using crypto.random. Okay. So let's take a look at this in the docs. Random UUID is the random of the crypto interface. Oh, interesting. Oh, so this is just built in? Assuming that it's available. Okay, web crypto API global. Oh yeah, so it is available. So crypto, yep. Hey, that's cool. So, you know what? We have, let's see. Let's just test that real quick. Actually, wait, hold up. Before I grab that, let me grab this. Let me drop this in the resources of said notes. Then, so if this works as we think, yeah, there it is. There's crypto. Then we can do random UUID. Run it. There it is. Oh, that's great. Now I don't have to import like a separate package. What's the availability on that? Is crypto available on most things? Let's see. IE, of course. Broken. Subtle. Get random values. Oh, actually, it is available. No, not random UUID. Okay, so if you're supporting Internet Explorer, it looks like you may need some sort of polyfill for that. But otherwise, it looks... Oh, wait. Yeah. Otherwise, it looks good. Get random values here. Awesome. Well, a big thanks to Peter for that shout out. That is great. Okay. Great. So I think maybe I'll do some refactoring of that later, but I know we're coming up on time, so I want to actually just register this. So feature add ability to register aliases. It's very rudimentary, but we're getting there. So let's go ahead and push that up. And then, yeah, let's see. I think that's, yeah, we're going to keep working on it. So let's switch on over back to the camera. All right. I see Fimian here. I think it also requires HTTPS. Okay, that's good to know. Maybe we'll have to play around the limitations of that just to make sure that nothing else breaks. But otherwise. All right, so we got a lot done today. We went a lot farther. I think I mainly just had the register architecture kind of to discuss. And clearly we came up with some use cases that I hadn't foreseen as far as like the command palette goes, particularly around registration. But I think it was still like a cleaner implementation overall as far as like, okay, here we have a register command that registers all your commands, and then we'll find a way to like architect it in a way that allows people to progress it, to go through a form or whatever. But I mean, I say we got through quite a bit. So JD Hillen here in the chat, thank you. I hope you all found it useful. But I think with that, that's basically it from my end. It's been a pleasure hanging out with everyone. As always, if you have any questions or want to see me cover anything on the chat, don't hesitate to just ping me on Twitter or whatnot. I'm happy to cover other things as well for people. So with that said, thanks everyone for hanging out, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.